Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. We do Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. And rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Talo Falava and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. I am very excited to introduce today's guest. He is a fellow Pasifika educator from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and he is the director of Māori and Pasifika Achievement at Shirley Boys High School in Christchurch. Welcome to the show, Afamasaga Uli Pesefea. How are you, bro?
Thank you, Rosa, for having me. First off, just to be on this podcast is amazing, humble experience. I'm good. Family's good. God is good. But just happy to be here, I guess, and to spend this hour with you.
I'm grateful, bro. You know, I know you're very busy. I know you've got lots of things that you do with work related. I know it's a Sunday and you're probably tired from local. Being the dedicated and committed person that you are, if I can say.
Yes,
Anyways, I wanted to know because, on the news, I've just been seeing a lot of rain back home in New Zealand. And I was wondering if the area, like in Christchurch, have you guys been affected heavily by all this rain, or is everything all right down there?
Actually, it's actually raining right now, but I think the last week we've had no rain, which has been pretty good. In terms of area, I think because I live on the east side of Christchurch, we kind of we actually live around the beach, so it's quite and a lot of the impact of the earthquake in 2011 still we still got cones on the road. We still got uneven surface and things like that. And where my school is at the moment, it's just flooded everywhere. You see where it used to be houses, it's just patches of grass, and all you see is all these massive puddles and things like that. So it's still there. You can still see it. Obviously, you can tell by the effects of the rain, but we just we just wake up and we just continue to take what comes our way. So that's how it's been in Christchurch, and then obviously the effects over in Nelson as well, which there's been over the news lately as well. So it's quite it's affected everyone across New Zealand. So
I would like to give you this opportunity just to really just give a brief introduction. Shout out your villages.
My name is Afamasaga Uli Pesefea. This is my fourth year as a teacher at Shirley Boys High School. I'm an old boy of Shirley Boys High School as well, so it's full circle for me. My dad is from Murifongoa and my mum is from Whaletanga Loa Safunga, Sava'i. These are the two villages that I represent. But my makai name that I share with my brother, Afamasaga Fleki, is also an educator. Our makai name comes from a village called Sātawa, just around the corner from Safunga and Sava'i.
Right.
And that's where my granddad, my mom's dad is from that village. So we represent my granddad's lineage and things like that. So we're just again blessed to carry on a name that's important to us and our family. So that's where we come from in Samoa. Born and bred in Christchurch, east side of Christchurch. So we represent east side of Christchurch really, really proudly here in Christchurch, and anywhere we go. Grew up in Efakasa. It's actually a 2-minute walk to our church. I think that's one of the main reasons why we shifted from one of the suburbs here to Woolston, because of the how close we are to our church. So it was never an excuse to not be able to go to, those choir practices, those White Sunday practices, and things like that. You know, played a couple of sports on my time. Just played some rugby, volley, touch. Currently on the board for Ōtautahi, which is like ripper rugby. Just trying to grow their game here in Christchurch, and then hopefully spread those wings to other parts of the South Island. We know it's very popular in the North Island. It's popular in Samoa as well, which is awesome. So we're just trying to do our part in growing the game so there are opportunities for our kids. But yeah, I think that's what I can remember for myself.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. That was a great self-introduction. That was great. I want to take it back to Christchurch, growing up in Christchurch. I guess growing up, I guess I always thought of Christchurch as very like DC culture, like a lot of balangis kind of, and I wondered, when you say, repping the east side of Christchurch, what kind of faces did you see growing up? Did you grow up in an area where there were predominantly Māori and Pasifika people that look like you, or was it really you grew up in like a real like Balangi area?
No, in east side of Christchurch, predominantly Māori and Pasifika, and then so I guess. Yeah, like you said, like even when I was growing up in Christchurch, I knew it was predominantly white. It was clear as day. But I think that's what made our communities even tighter, is because we stood out, and two, we understood the purpose of like us coming together and trying to succeed in whatever we want to do. So I think that's why we represent the east side of Christchurch. We try to represent our people, because majority of us live on the east side of Christchurch, but then also again we have a lot that live on the west side as well. So a bit of good banter here and there with the west siders, but we all represent Christchurch and trying to make our Pasifika and Māori communities proud of who we are and where we come from. Obviously, growing up, Scribe was like, he was the man, especially when he put, Crusaders on his songs. That's when I was like, oh, yo, like, I'm proud, I'm proud to be from Christchurch, because, he represented and he gave shout outs to our neighborhoods, and like we grew up in the same neighborhood. And yes, but it's funny though that I mentioned Scribe, because I actually teach a son. Shirley Boys as well. So like, and it's like, so it's like full circle as well. So it's kind of cool to like actually like have that connection, I guess, to Scribers through a son, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, bro. And you did mention earlier that you are an old boy of Shirley Boys High School. What kind of student were you like when you were at school?
Oh man, I was good. I reckon I was good. I mean, I was good. Hey, I think sometimes our version of banter, to other Palangis there is not banter. If you know what I mean. Like, but I mean, I was good. I was good. Sometimes I was the only brown kid in the class. Because but hey, it's kind of that's all good, because I think once maybe focus on my classwork a bit more, and then I let lunchtime and interval play its part with the boys. But no, I was a white kid in school. I think the reason why I went to their school is because my cousins went to their school. My brothers went to my brother went to their school. Then my younger brother, and cousins went to their school. So it's been a family school for my family. So and then I guess you build those brotherhood bonds with other boys as well. So and the things you take after school as well, and those memories you take as well. So
growing up in your area of Christchurch, was there ever a fear of like knowing that there were like skinheads around? Like, I don't know, maybe I watched too much news or something, but was there ever that fear or any run-ins, or that just kind of wasn't really that didn't really affect kind of where you guys were growing up? Do you know what I mean?
So I grew up in Bromley, which is the suburb over from where we live now. We've been living the last 20 odd years, but I wouldn't say there were skinheads, but there were, I guess you could say, this area, this east side of Christchurch, is a lot of the industrial area of Christchurch. So we had a lot of, you just had hard workers around here, whether you're Balangi, whether you're Asian, it didn't matter. Like, I think we all understood, just like where we lived in Christchurch, we just kind of, we had that kind of picture or that stereotype of like, oh yeah, like, you know, where do you work, what school do you go to, and things like that. But I mean, you know, you come across skinheads. Oh well, skinheads now. I mean, I can't remember the last time I seen a skinhead, but because, you know, all the kids have mullets these days, you know, I think skinheads have gone out the window, and like mullets are in the game now. So you know, you can't tell. But I can see the whole. I think I was like, I was in that transition of like there were, I want to say less skinheads, but there were more Pasifika and Māori coming through, if that makes sense, because most of my cousins who are 2 years older than me, they'll be like, oh man, like we just saw the skinhead in town, and I was just like, what? Like, you know, whereas I was kind of going out, it was kind of, we were kind of in that transition of like, oh, you know, it's cool to be brown now, if that makes sense. Because you know, we were real small in numbers. Like when I was at school, there was only 5 of us in my year group. They were Pasifika, but now as a teacher, there's an average of 12. You know, 12 and year 9s as well. So you can tell that, you know, the difference in numbers that are growing here in Christchurch, which is awesome. Which is awesome for not just our Pasifika community, but our Christchurch community as well. And I guess we can show the typical response I hear, like if I go out to Auckland or something for like a teachers conference, something, they're like, oh, from Christchurch, and then they're like, oh, is there Pacificas down there? And I'm like, yeah. Or like Polyfest, like, oh, do you have a Polyfest? I'm like, yeah. Just not as good as yours, but yeah, we have one.
ignorant Auckland attitude, huh?
Like, yeah, and I was just like, man, like, you know, man, come to Christchurch, like, we need more flavor here, but at the same time, it's like, man, like, don't forget about us, like, you know, we're just as proud to be Samoan as you guys up in Auckland, so that's all good.
Up. Louder for the people in the back, just saying. So thinking about your experiences growing up in the Afamasaga, having a voice in your church, what did that look like for a young person?
Having a voice, I think it was just service. You know, we understand the whole idea of, you know, respect your elders and something like that, and sometimes not saying, you know, sometimes saying something could come off as a sign of disrespect because of, you know, the age we're at and things like that. So I think the one way that I would strengthen my voice if I ever spoke, which is hardly, would just serve, you know, turn up to those ongame practices, turn up to Sunday school, turn up to choir practices. And I think the more our parents see us in their I guess circles, the more that they could have that a little bit of faith in us to lead and things like that we do. And I think that's been I think that's been a challenge. It's always been a challenge. Understanding, you know, understanding your role as a young person to not to come off as disrespectful, but at the same time, how can we move off the times? How can we move the times so that not that we're getting left behind, but how can we engage the next generation and things like that to understand the purpose of why we come to church, the how we run things in Afamasaga, our connections to my law and things like that. So I think that's being at their age, yeah, I think that's how I'm strengthening my voice. And I can only think of with the COVID response, I ran a like a NCA because you know we don't have to look far to find the next actor, the next singer,
right.
the next public speaker, because we do it in our church, but we do it with no credits. So like when we do NCA and stuff, like that's what they want, but it's like these kids do it like
naturally,
like they do it like their teachers are the hardest teachers, our parents are the
right?
hardest teachers. Like if it's not excellence, then it's nothing, so like and just we ran we paired up with a couple of churches, and what we did is we recorded their White Sunday pieces, and what they covered: drama assessments, they covered music assessments, they covered speech assessments. And what we did is that we just got their what year they were, and then if they didn't do those assessments, then we just marked them down, and then we sent the results to their schools and stuff like that, so that they could get those credits. And we can show the schools, like, man, like what you're looking for is right here in our church, like things like that. And this is education. We just do it in our language, in our culture, our ways, and things like that. So I was trying to, I guess that was another way to connect the two. Things like that. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you and your brother are both educators, and I wanted to ask, do you run Ministry of Education study programs? I mean, obviously with COVID, a lot of things had to be taken online, but do you both run programs that empower our youth, or bring in other community groups to your church, as a kind of a base, or even link up with other e whakasa youth in your pulenga, for example? Like, do you have opportunities to run programs to the wider community, but catering for our youth?
Oh man, that's been a dream. Like that's been a dream and goal for us, is like, how can we connect? At the moment, no, we like our church is very busy. There's not an excuse not to run things like that, but it's like we are looking for a new we found a new FFL as well. So like that's what that's what we've been preparing for as well. Also that's coming up. So our church is very busy, but in the past we used to do power-ups. We used to run tutoring programs with through our pulenga. One was through one of our other branches, e whakasa branches, but well, me and my brother, we haven't done anything to with the ministry, but I think we've done a lot of community-based stuff, just to bring in the community. I mean, my brother who used his who just graduating from masters in I think performing arts, and he ran like a couple of shows in the last 2 years. They Lesa was part of as well. So like I think it was just bringing the community together, using our students, using the students that we work with, and things like that. Yeah, but that's always been a goal for us, is to like, how can we encourage learning, and how can we bind the two, our culture and our churches, not just our church, but our branches, the other churches in Christchurch, and how can we build a stronger relationship with the ministry, and also just education, schools and stuff like that. Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to be a teacher?
Ooh.
I mean, like, I asked that because some people know like very young. Others don't realize it till like after they've done their degree, and then they go do an apprentice. They do a course or something and realize, whoa. So I was wondering, when did you realize that?
I think I've heard that question a lot. The kids ask me like, "Oh, how'd you become? Why'd you become a teacher?" And I was like, my response is always, I just like watching kids grow. It wasn't the actually teaching part. It was just watching. It was just watching kids grow, letting kids know that if they need someone to support them, that I'm there. So I think my, I guess my purpose kind of tailored to teaching, and I think there was glimpses of like, I used to. I still do. Like I tutor our polyfish group, our Pasifika group. So like there's like elements of teaching. I did tutoring on the side as well through University of Canterbury as well. So I think just those little and also like we had a Sāmoan class back in high school, and we had all 3 year levels in the class in our Ngana Samoa class, and it was just 2 of us that were level 3 Samoan, and I think as much as we were focusing on our own assessments, I think one of my other responsibilities was to help the level ones. So I think just those, it wasn't, it was moments that really led me to teaching. When I went to uni, I didn't go directly to the teaching route. I actually just did my Bachelor of Arts degree, and then if I finished my degree and I still wanted to be a teacher, then I'll do their 1 year diploma. Which I ended up doing anyway. So okay, I guess like just being in the environment of learning and teaching is kind of led me to me being a teacher now. So I was lucky, man. I was very lucky. When I was in high school, I actually planned to do trades. Because my brother did it, my cousins did it, and things like that. So I was like, oh, like my cousin's doing that, so why not? But then the change was 2 of my Pasifika teachers at the time, Joseph Helton and Maria Lemalia, shout out to them. Like they pulled me out of class and they just told me I'm going to uni because they said that based off my classes, they was like, man, you're in their classes to go to uni, but no one ever told me to go to that I was eligible to, or not eligible, but I could potentially go to university. So fast forward, I still keep in contact with those guys, and yeah, so here I am as a fourth year teacher at Shirley Boys High School.
That's a cool story, bro. You actually were a recipient of is it the Cooper scholarships? You got one. I mean, there were like 30 of them. You were one of the
Yeah.
recipients. So it paid your course fees, and there was a study allowance attached to that, professional mentoring, and assistance with finding a job. Right. So it was a huge scholarship. So my question is, how much did that like obviously financially that would have been that great, right, to pay your
Oh yeah.
fees, but in terms of that professional mentoring and then actually finding a job, how much did that scholarship like how much, like were you given like a list of jobs that you could apply for, or did you still kind of have to seek out jobs? How much of that mentoring really helped lead you to where you are now, or did you just decide straight away, no, I'm definitely going to try and go back to my old school?
I was I always wanted to go back to my old school. I think just understanding like what I went through as a Pasifika student, like there's like another 80 to 100 boys that's just like me. So and obviously I've had great memories from Shirley and things like that. So me going back to school, me at least going back to Shirley Boys as my first school was that was it. Like that was it. But that Cooper scholarship helped me heaps. Like you said, like financially, like I mean, hey, you wouldn't love to tell the parents like, oh hey, my course fees are paid.
All done, yeah.
Yeah, and I get extra bit of cash, to like pay for this or pay for that, and like so financially, like we were happy. What I wanted from their scholarship was just to network. I understood that we're smaller numbers as Pasifika and Māori educators. So for me, just to network with other beginning teachers was my main goal, because like we can like when I talk to my friends about teaching, like they can only understand so much because like of what really goes on as a teacher, things like that. So connecting and networking with other Pasifika and Māori teachers was like just we're able to rely on our experiences and things like that. So and just having a mentor as well. I wish I connected more with my mentor because I was just kind of over email and stuff like that. Like I didn't actually get to meet him physically.
Okay.
But I mean, I was still lucky anyways. Like regardless if I had a mentor or not, I already had mentors. When I was at school, when I picked up my job at Shirley Boys, Maria Lemony, who was our assistant principal, so she's like our school mum. So like she was on my back like the whole time, So I had my mentoring was covered through her and through other teachers as well. But no, their scholarship was just a network. It was just a network basically. Like I think I always encourage people to network because knowing somebody in a different field or similar field could open up a door for you. So so that's what I got out of the mentoring. So out of the scholarship, yeah.
What do you remember about your first day of teaching? I mean, you because I wonder how easy it was, if at all, because you're going back to a familiar place,
Mm.
which I guess you could call a second home. Being a former student. So, okay, maybe I'm just making assumptions, but what do you remember about your first day?
My first day, it was like you're sitting in the staff room with teachers that used to
Teachers,
tell you off. Yeah, like with teachers that
you
used to tell
call
you
them
off.
like Mr. and Mrs. A.
Yeah, they're like you hear them walking around like, oh hey Rosa, hey. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I like even till today, like I call them like their last name,
Yeah.
or I call them boss. Like I was like, hey
Yeah.
boss, like because like me just saying their first name is like a no no, like it's a big no no for me.
Yeah.
It's like because it's like well, one, their respect I have for them, but two, like
Right.
they were my teachers like 10 years ago, like 10,
Right.
12 years ago. So it's like I'm like I see him every day for 5 years, and I'm expected to call him like, oh, call me this. And I was like, nah, like I'm calling you Mister. Like,
Right.
so that's what it's like.
Mm.
But man, their first day, like just sitting there, and I felt I felt sorry for the other first year, like, because obviously it wasn't just me that started my first year, it was like a couple other whaongas as well.
Mm.
And like, but like I felt like I had just that slight advantage because of like
Right.
um knowing the teachers. I
Right.
was covered by Muslim Aliye. Oh yeah, Muslim Aliye,
Yeah.
like things like that. So like I was protected straight away,
So
like
you're like their favorite child, eh?
yeah, like
Wink, wink.
yeah, I was like the prodigies returned anytime. So I was like, yes, like
The prodigal son has
yeah,
returned.
yeah, like
Thank
actual,
you.
like I was like, yes, like, but then like with that, I guess came on like, oh man, like time to put everything that
Right.
I have learned from them into practice, like and things like that. But nah, it's first day was like weird, like and then just being on the other side as well, like man, like you see that one teacher, you're like, I remember you, and then like now you're standing. Like that's the one thing that I remember was, um, like when you're a student, you just see them as a strict person,
Mm.
like or this type of person or whatever, and then you're a teacher and they're like the chillest person now, like like I'm just like man, like, and then like, now that I'm a teacher, I'm like man, if the students saw you like that, man, I reckon it would make their teaching life a whole lot easier.
Mm.
Like, because some people like they're actual cool without like when they're not in the classroom. But when they're in the classroom, they're just like, why are you trying to be someone that you're not? Like, if you're funny, like, you got good banter or something like that, or the kids, like, man, they would eliminate half your behavioral management, like, that you face, like, every day,
Right.
things like that. So, man, but no, yeah, it's just cool to see the other side of teachers, like, see who they really are, which is cool. And, like, man, they're awesome.
And then students, like student wise, like being in the classroom, that first kind of like exposure to, I mean, obviously through training you do that, but then
Mm,
it's like, oh, this is my actual job now. I'm a teacher, I'm at the front of the
mm.
class. What was that feeling like?
I was nervous.
Were
I
you the
was
cool
like,
teacher? You're the cool teacher, right?
Uh, I like to think so. Yeah, nah, I just like to think. I just like to think that I'm someone that kids can understand. You
Yeah.
know, like, and I think that that's once you're someone that kids can understand, it again eliminates half, if not three quarters, of like those behavioral management skills that you have to learn how to do things like that. So like
Yeah.
just being your authentic self. But man, that first day I don't know, I was geeky. I was
Mm.
I was nervous, because and the kids know. Oh, the year nines, you don't feel as nervous because they're nervous
Mm.
because it's their first day of high school, but they don't know that it's your first day of teaching.
Right.
Whereas the year 10 and above, they're like, oh yeah, fresh meat. So like, I'm just like, oh, like fresh meat type of person. But
Right.
I think what also helped me teach was that prior to becoming a teacher, I've been tutoring Shirley Boys Polyfest like since I left high school. So like, I guess I was like kind of like the kid who never left high school because I was always there running practices and the weekends after school. So the kids, mainly my Pasifika kids, they knew who I was because I was the one running the practices. So again, when I would come to those like times where I was teaching my first class or whatever, and I had one of the Pasifika boys, I'll be like, oh man, surely like they will look after me. There won't be a pain or something like that. But now, yeah, that first day was memorable, I guess I could say.
You're already a pro on your first day because you already had that rapport with many
Yeah,
students, and even more so outside of the classroom, right? Which is
yeah,
for a lot of teachers, they struggle to make that connection because they never see these students and just their talents and skills being used outside of the classroom. They only see them inside. So I think that's definitely a bonus for you, as already having established that foundation. So that's so cool, man. So your role at your school, director of Māori and Pasifika Achievement. How long have you been in that role, and how's it going?
this is my first year of
Okay.
being in this role. I actually started last year of last term.
Mm,
But now I've been in this role. It's awesome. So it's just basically around how can we engage students and improve academic success,
mm,
and not just academic success, but also finding like mentoring and things like that for our boys. A lot of our boys need support in all areas. So that's my job, is to find connections and be that connection as well for our students and our external people as well. So it's going awesome. We are currently working with University of Canterbury. We run a tutoring program after school every Mondays, but it's not just for our boys, it's actually for all schools across Canterbury. So what UC does is that they awesome team at UC, they they have drivers and they send them out to certain schools, and then they put them up, bring them to my school. They study for or they tutor for an hour and a half. They feed them and then they drop them off back to school.
mm.
So we, on average, we started week 2, so we week 2, 3, 4. Now been running for 3 weeks. We've had an average of 120 kids at each tutoring program or tutoring session. Sorry.
Wow.
So that's and that's across Canterbury as well. So more Pasifika kids are coming. They're taking advantage of these opportunities, which is awesome. And we run for our Māori kids. We run a lot of STEM
Mm.
subject tutoring. We also have external people. They come in for mentoring, helping boys with with whatever, and finding what their aspirations are and stuff like that. So yeah. It's going good. It's
Mm.
going good.
Because on the website, I also saw that that's your role, and then it also says within school teacher of culturally responsive practice. So, what does that actually mean? Are you someone who runs training to teach to teach your colleagues about being culturally responsive, or what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, basically what you see is just running maybe a workshop or
Okay,
a PD session on, how can we be culturally competent
mm,
for our students. So
right,
things like how to pronounce names properly.
right, right,
Why do kids why do kids shy away when they're being praised, or
right.
why can't, and then just things like,
Eye contact. Why
yeah,
we don't make eye
why
contact?
we contact,
Yeah.
or like why we don't sit on the table, like things like
Right.
that, like why
Mm.
teachers, why we
So
should
you
know
so
us.
you're responsible for running. So that's what it is, right? Is that you
Yeah,
run, or you have a do you work with a team to run such workshops, or is it on you?
yeah. Oh no, we can oh man, we have an amazing Māori Pasifika
Okay.
team at Shirley Boys High School. Shout out to Hone Rask, Whitney Vetupu, and Enoka Tau 4. Man, they are crazy talented, and things like that. So we have a team there. We just all, regardless of what our roles are, I think we just always come together and we help create whatever needs to be created and deliver it to not just our colleagues but our students. Or we can get people from outside as well to come and run a workshop. I think it's it's important that we have a balance of hearing our voices but also hearing other voices as well. So, and having people from outside come in and share their what they know, their expertise as well. So that's basically what we do around. My role is just to how can we make our educators more culturally competent for all, not just our students but for everyone. So understand man, it's like these kind of things is like being a teacher now. It's like it comes full circle. I mean, I remember when I was in high school and one of my teachers, she put a ula lole around me, and we understand what a ula lole means. This is a celebration of your end of year school, and then one of my teachers goes, "Oh, what's that?" And then he told me to take it off, and I was trying to explain to him what it is, and I was like, "Oh, whatever." So then and then come full circle, and their teacher still at my school, and I think having these type of roles and running those type of PDs actually. You can see the change in teachers, they're starting to ask more rather than just sit there and be like, oh, yeah. And it's awesome. We got more teachers, trying to understand why this kid does this or why this, rather than just assuming, they're actually asking questions and they're trying to seek their advice to again make sure that our students are safe and they are heard. So
I want to a lot of these questions are leading to actually my bigger question, which is the workload of a Pasifika teacher or Māori and Pasifika teacher. See, now you're laughing because you know where this is going. Now, if we roll it, run it back, and you've mentioned that first and foremost, you're an educator. You have these specific roles that leadership and that type of thing, in your school, running workshops and whatnot. But also, more importantly, as you've mentioned, is your role outside of the classroom. You're a coach, you are a tutor, you are a mentor, and so when we think about the load, and it's not just the teaching load, it's what it's like to be a Pasifika teacher in New Zealand. Um, from your experience, as a fourth year teacher now, what would you say to that? What is it like being a Pasifika teacher in New Zealand?
man, I think it's not that I don't get tired, but I think once you understand why you do what you do, it's actually more motivating to say the least. To be a Pasifika teacher now is you're not, again, we call ourselves Pasifika teachers, but we're more than just a teacher. We're their parent to these boys or students, sorry, or we're their like you said, coach, we're their tutor, we're their mentor, we're their kind of I'm pretty lucky, I'm old, but I'm
You're the cool
just
teacher.
old.
You're the cool teacher.
Yeah, I'm
You're still in there. You're still
yeah,
in
I'm
there,
still
bro. You're
there.
still
I'm
in
still there. Yeah, I'm old enough. I'm old enough
Right.
to be these boys' older brother,
Right.
if that makes sense. And I think these boys understand better when they the way we talk to them and where we come from and things like that. So being a bus figure teacher now, man, it's how we have non-contacts in during school time, there's no such thing as non-contacts because it's we come out of non-contact and then even if we don't have a dean's or we don't even have a dean's role or something like that, we're doing what a dean does. We're chasing up these boys man, why are you not at school? Or you're 2 credits short of this, what are we gonna do, blah blah, or what do you want to do after school? Yeah, that's, I don't know if I answered the question, but
You did. You did.
it's
You did.
I don't know, but for me, I love my job. Like it's that simple for me. I love my job. It's not a job because like I'm so masangi to like even in like church, like man, like if you want to know what a job is like, or if you know what hard is like, try going to choir practice on a Sunday afternoon after kongai. Like that's hard. Like you have to learn a song at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like that's hard. But what I'm
Yeah.
doing now is like not hard. So I always put I always get hard out for my job, but I also put my role as a bus figure person, not as bus figure teacher, but as a bus figure person into perspective. Like, you know, I've worked in a factory before and things like that. So like I don't walk around complaining and stuff like that. So I guess that's where my mindset is when I do this job, I was like, oh man, this is more motivating to like encourage the next kid or these kids to just like understand like their purpose and stuff like that. So as a bus figure teacher, man, like it's high risk, high reward type
Oh, is that
stuff.
what they call it these days? High risk, high reward?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
okay.
what I call it. Because if these guys don't pass, then I'm in trouble. But I just, I love being part of their journey. Like, it's their journey. I just like being their small part of it. And again, like I said, why I became a teacher is just watching them grow. Like just being there. Like I got front row tickets to watch these boys grow. So like that's what a bus figure teacher is these days is like just help guide them because I mean we need more of us, man. Like when I talk to people who like tutor or whatever, like I ask them if they want to become a teacher. Like they didn't like yes, it's a tough job, but like when they actually understand, they're like if you can like run an aunga at church, man, you can run a classroom for sure. Like so it's like man, and again, like we need more of us. Like in the classroom, man, like they didn't understand what they find natural to them is actually what we need. What like they think is a special skill, and it is a special skill, but in the classroom. So, man, I can't help but encourage students or people to give teaching a go. Like it's fun. Like I was gonna say you finish at 3, but you don't. You don't finish at 3, but it's just man, the rewards to seeing kids grow. That's the reward for me.
So I was wondering if you ever had the opportunity to teach overseas, at a school overseas, would you take the opportunity or
I would it's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to my mate the other day and like I always thought about like just just teaching somewhere else. I mean I love my school. Like as an old boy, as a teacher, I love my school. But like I'm like, man, if I was going to teach another school, it's not gonna be in Christchurch, like it's gonna be somewhere else because like that's how much their school the school means to me. But man, I always think about it, like especially like I'm not even lying, like when I found out that you teach overseas, I was like again when I was talking about networking, like knowing someone and like they can actually give you the advice or like they can teach you like some tips on what to do if you come like I've always thought about it. But like even South Auckland, like I've always wanted to teach. Not always wanted to teach, but I've always, man, like take what I know here and apply it in like a place like Auckland because I understand how, like our the rough population at Shirley Boys for Pasifika is around 80 to 100 PI students, Pasifika students. So, but if this is Christchurch, like South Auckland must be like 7 times that. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, like what does that look like? So I've always wanted to test the waters over there, but the thing that always brings me back to like not saying that I mean again I'll take if there was something that popped up overseas, but why not? Like I got nothing to lose here. But one thing that I always think about is like I can't forget that we have our own bus figure kids in Christchurch. So it's like as much as we wanna like I wanna go try make a change in Auckland, like we still have bus figure kids here in Christchurch. So it's like I still gotta serve these kids as well. So, and I mean, sometimes leaving the school is not the hardest part. It's leaving the kids. Leaving the kids there because that's the rapport that you want to like, and you always cherish. Like colleagues come and go. Teacher, that's what I've learned. Teachers come and go. Like I said, you're like sad for like 2 days, and then like you forget that they're gone. But like,
Right.
you see these kids like all the time. So these kids,
I would
tough.
say that if you, I totally get what you're saying about, if opportunity came up in another place in another area of New Zealand, totally, go for it.
Yeah.
Because it's about growing as a teacher. Like anything is to help you grow and develop and build on your current skills. Any opportunity to upskill it's always a good one. And then if you got an opportunity overseas, I would just say do it. Like, you think that, I mean, the reason I asked about, Pasifika teachers and the workload and whatnot is because Pasifika teachers are just amazing people. Like, no jokes. Like, do you know what I mean? And you've already alluded to it and said, we can pretty much do anything and everything.
Yeah.
And part of that is really because of our upbringing. And then when you go overseas, you're just in a different setting and you're just still being that amazing, hopefully impactful, continue to be impactful and that amazing. It's not like you leave New Zealand and you leave all of that. You take those skills with you and you kind of like grow in this new space that you're working in. I think if you ever got an opportunity overseas, go for it. Like, I think you'd be awesome. Sammy's another one.
Yeah.
Like I'm always kind of like hint. I mean, you know what it is like, earlier on in the podcast, you mentioned about behavioral management. And it really reminded me that when I came here, I was finally able to teach. Now, this is what I mean is without having to worry about behavioral management. It was the first time ever as a teacher where, because behavioral management it's huge, right? In terms of how we're like the classroom climate in which we teach. But when I came here, like it was the first time ever where I could just go to the class and just teach and not have to worry about behavior management. It was a real like culture shock in terms of like, being a Pasifika teacher and then working at a girls' school, private girls' school, smaller classes. They were always talking about the big classes and all these different roles. But, here it was, I could really say, wow, I'm rocking up to this class and I'm just focused on teaching. And I know that really kind of sounds really, it's hard to believe, but that has been the biggest change in terms of being a teacher here is that that's not saying that I'm neglecting, like the behavior in the class because there are some Ula kids, but that was like a big wake up call, a big like shock was like, what? These kids that they're because they don't have, I don't know, there's different types of worries. They're still teenagers, but like when you grow up as a Pacific Islander in New Zealand, a lot of us, how we grow up. One of my first classes that I taught here, the conversation was around, I don't know, one of the students, they were talking about where different teachers in our school come from and, how everyone's like middle class or upper class, and I was like, excuse me, I'm not middle class, that was so shocking to me because they were talking about, pointing out teachers and that person definitely comes from a middle class. And I was just like, well, what's middle class? And they explained. I was just like, nah. That's definitely not me. So, like it was a very, I mean, I've been here 7 years now, but still learning. It's just a different learning environment. And I think when I came, like I was a bit hardcore, like coming from being a New Zealand teacher, being a Pasifika teacher, I think I was like really hardcore. And when I turned up here, like I really had to kind of like, I don't want to say turn it down, but I was just I was so little something to, I was always like, like that was just like, So it was
They say New
learning how
Zealand.
learning
They
how
say New
to
Zealand,
build
yo,
learning how
actually,
to build rapport with students in a different way, because it's different. These students are from so many different, like, they come from so many different places, so I had to adjust that way. So anyways, let me stop telling my story. It's not about
nah,
me.
it's all good.
But back
It's,
to the point is, bro, if you ever get an opportunity, no matter where in the world, like, people are always, there's so many New Zealand educators, like registered New Zealand educators working overseas. Because New Zealand educators are in demand, but I think more so they love Māori and Pasifika teachers. Like, I've met Māori and Pasifika teachers who live all over the world, and they're just like really cool people, but they've just they've left home and they've just settled overseas. So if you ever get the opportunity, I take it. It doesn't matter where, because I think you've already, like, you kind of have alluded to it throughout this podcast. Like, the basically you make your experience, like what you put in is what you get out, right? You make your experience. So while people kind of have their stories about, oh, this is the best country to go to, or this is, at the
yeah.
end of the day, you can listen to people's stories, but you make your experience as a teacher. So
Yo,
that was the point.
nah,
That was
it's
the
all good.
point to the long story,
Nah, that
going
was
off on a
on. That
tangent
was
over
on.
here.
Nah, that was awesome.
But I wanted to take it back to, because as you were talking before my long story, I had me thinking about the role of other educators, right? That the burden, I don't know if the word, yeah, the burden should not be on Māori and Pasifika teachers to teach about cultural diversity, to teach about identity, to teach about equity and inclusion, and all those education buzzwords, right? Like multilingualism and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So from your experiences, whether as a teacher trainee coming through or even in your current situation, are you seeing that more people are kind of like upskilling and doing their own work in terms of growing as an educator in different spaces to learn things like, how do you say the name properly, da, 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 da. Or is it still like this burden on Māori and Pasifika teachers to kind of lead the way? Like, where do you stand with that? Is it our responsibility to lead the way in teaching that stuff or not?
Um. Oh, first off, and I can only speak in my school alone. Like,
Mm.
I know these are quite a hand. There's quite a handful. There's a handful of teachers that are taking on. They're doing their own PD sessions, or
Oh.
like they're signing up to PD sessions. One thing that's been implemented in next couple, I think it's next year, is Mātauranga Māori, or just
Oh, right,
Māori
right.
knowledge. So a lot of our heads of departments are already, we got teachers only there tomorrow, so looking at things like that, and trying to find out how can we be more inclusive and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, ooh, should we be leading the way? I think there's a point where, like, we've given you your kitty, we've given you everything that we know. Now it's your job just to go and make mistakes, like things like that. Like, I think a lot of, like, sometimes we like, and we still, don't get me wrong, like, we still have it today. Like, people still come up to us and like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm like, bro, like, we
One job.
we've like stop asking us. Like, we put it on Kmart on how to pronounce their names.
Mm.
Like, like we don't mind if they ask us the first time, like, Seki, but it's the constant asking, or like, why is this not doing that? Like, why is this kid not doing this? Like, and like you said, like earlier, like, when you how because I tutor and stuff like that, we get to see kids in a different element. That's why we tell these teachers to turn up to our meetings, or turn up to their dress rehearsal, or take these kids on a field trip, because then you get to see that the kid there, the picture you've painted for this kid in your
Right.
own mind is not the actual kid that you see in a different element. Like, it may be this whole create a better rapport for you and the student, and make you less judgmental on like who they are. But I I think there's a certain, it gets to a point where we should stop leading, but deep down, like, we can't help but lead.
Okay,
Like,
yes, okay, exactly. Because my point, the reason why I had to ask is because I'm just going back again to, and this is not just you. Like, I've had other
yeah,
of our Pasifika amazing educators who have come on and shared just what they're doing in their own schools and educational spaces. And it's just, I just think, man, like, just the workload, and like how
mm,
you said, deep down, we're just we give, but it's really detrimental to your health, to your
yeah,
mental health. And even though we are, Māori and Pasifika educators, are always out there, and even not getting paid for certain roles, but doing those
yeah,
extra roles and
yeah,
doing the extra work in the school, like, that's not good for your
mm,
health and your well-being. So that's why I had to ask, like, just for you as a teacher. And I'm not necessarily, and I'm grateful that you've shared. It sounds great, that people in your own school are, educators are taking responsibility and taking ownership of their own learning, their own professional development as educators. I think that's great. But I was just thinking, like, in general, like, what was your view on that, really? Um, yeah.
yeah, nah, yeah. I was just like, yeah, it's just like, it gets to the point where you're like, just like, it's like you already know the answer, so you just keep going. Like,
Mm,
you just keep moving forward, like, as much as you want, like, you want, like, as much as you want this dream to come on reality. It's like, man, just keep chipping away, and
mm,
hopefully, like, but I mean, again, it's baby steps. We know that um it won't change overnight, but I think
right.
the more we continue to fight, and the more we continue to, like, actually put our foot down, the more we'll start to see changes and things
Mm,
like that. But yeah, like you see, like, man, like, we always kind of forget about our health, because we are always like, we even forget the word, we forget the word health, because we are
mm,
so into it, like, we actually into it. Like, and it's funny that you mentioned health, because, like, when we did a hangi for our school, like, it wasn't um just to, like, relax and enjoy matariki, but, like, actually just fill our wairoa cup. Like,
mm,
like, sleeping won't help us. Like, yeah,
right.
sleep, yes, you're relaxing, but in your, you're resting, but, like, just filling their wairoa cup, like, just coming together, like, students are coming together, teachers are coming together, and, like, you're just
Mm,
eating, like, you're just enjoying the time. But, like, yeah, like you said, like, health, like, we forget to look after ourselves. But, and saying that, like, our team is very good. Like, as much as we like to continue to, fight the good fight, like,
mm.
we know, like, we might go and have some hot chips or something, like, like, just do little things together, things
That's
like
cool,
that.
man.
Yeah. So, like, we don't, like, don't get me wrong, like, we look after our health.
Mm,
We still make time to catch up outside of work.
mm.
We'll grab a feed, like, during, like, lunchtime or something like that. So, like, we still act like like, we still do things that will, they just gives us a break from our teaching, during the
That's
day.
really cool. That's cool because and I'm glad that despite the busy workload that you all have, that you do have a team that you are working with, and everyone's kind of like got each other's back. I remember when Sammy, came on here as well, and just the amazing work that he is also doing at his school, and I said, and I will say the same thing that I said to him, that there is, it just, yeah, gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta look after number one.
Yeah,
That's the only way you can continue to be impactful for your students, and and then also, you've got family as well. So, just, you just gotta find time to, just
yeah.
like you
Find
said,
time. Yeah,
find time to put aside for the really important things in your life. Obviously, work and school is super important, and you are forever part of that journey, which continues to mold the young people of your school, the youth, even in your church. But never forget that number one. And I'm just, this is like lesson learned, is that's why I said same thing to Sammy, because I love what he does. I mean, he is just like you guys, just doing some amazing work at his school. He's everywhere. But like I always worry, if I don't see him online for a long time, I worry about him, I worry about you guys, as young teachers, don't I don't want to see you guys get worn out and then just kind of like quit. You guys are huge asset to your communities that you are part of, the churches you're part of, but then also the schools, the impacting and inspiring the young. So that's what I said to Sammy, and I'm going to say the same thing to you. Yeah, that's what's up. Uppercut yourself.
Like honestly, like I'm able to I'm able to find, but like I find time to look after myself. I'm pretty lucky. Like like I mean, I don't look as good as Simi physically. That guy, I was like, is that guy teaching or is he in the gym? Is he in the school gym right now?
Shout out to the bro, Sammy.
Shout out to the also. He's like, first 2 periods, he's in the gym, man. Like, not like I was like, I like to like in the weekend, like I like to do nothing, like just nothing. Like I'll happily sit there and just sit there and do nothing. Like that's me, like resting and like just like don't worry about anything, don't think about anything. Like there's just me like re-energizing myself for the next week. I like to do that. I like to train as well. I train and like I train during the week as well, so it's pretty cool. So like I get to feel physically and mentally good as well. So like, and again like I hate posting about myself, but like even on my teacher's account, like just showing boys there, like, man, you can do whatever you want if you just put your mind to it. Like I'll post like when I get tagged in like a story, I'll share it, and then the boys are like, "Oh, Fire, you're training." I'm like, "Yeah, man, like Fire, you gotta like,
you're a great role model, huh?
I gotta train, I gotta keep up with these kids, like." But not like you said, like man, like we don't want to wear ourselves out. Like that's the last thing we want to do.
Because you're so important.
Yeah,
can't forget how important you are. I was just thinking though, as you're talking, I was thinking, man, it must be pretty rough for you being a Warriors supporter during the NRL season. I mean, that must be so detrimental to your health. I mean, I'll let you take a stab at me, but I'm just saying, I'm
going for the Penrith Panthers now, mate.
I'm sorry. Wow. Did they just win the minor premiership? Is that what it was?
I got to the point where I'm no shame. I'm like, nah, I'm going for the Panthers. I'm
not the bandwagon.
Yeah, but I'm a forever Crusader fan, so I just gotta let people know. At least I'm winning somewhere. I'm winning off the Crusaders.
I'm not really a rugby. Like I didn't really watch like people here when they find out I'm from New Zealand and then they just start talking about rugby and they want to do the haka and I'm just like, I'm sorry. Do you know rugby league? Google it. I don't really support rugby, but if people go to rugby games here, I'm such a bandwagon. Like I'm in the crowd cheering as if I know what's going on. Yeah. Like I don't, man. But yeah.
Hey, the Warriors, we're rebuilding for 2023. We have a new coach, returning coach. He's coming back.
Wait, who's coming back?
Oh man, he's from the Panthers. So he used to coach.
Is he coming back?
No, not Ivan Cleary.
Oh, okay, I was like, Moses, has he lost his mind? Just kidding to all the Warriors fans. I'm just kidding.
It's the assistant coach, but I think he used to coach the Warriors back in the days of Ivan Cleary. Then he moved, and he's coming back. I'm like, surely
did you see all the results this weekend? I mean, I haven't. I've just been seeing like.
Have you not seen the Broncos results?
No, like, well, I'm like, but wait,
Wait, okay. I thought that was bad, but then did you see the Tigers and then the Titans? Oh my God. I mean, I thought the Broncos, the Broncos, I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I'm kind of still, people are trying to be funny.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I don't want to compare it to rugby, but like, you know, if you're like the end of the season and you're playing Lakapi, like you still would play, like, you know, you still play to win. But you look at it, but like, you know, they probably lose, but they won't lose by that much. And then you look at the league games, and that's like all the bottom teams are like suddenly like don't care about the rest of the season. I'm like, silly.
I know. Well, because we were in the top 4, and then all of a sudden we're just now at number 8. I was just like, what the hell?
Now you're playing the Panthers.
Wait, I didn't even know what happened. Like, I can't. There are no words, but bro, man. But I say all of that just to say, you know, take it easy during NRL season. It is tough being a Warriors supporter. End of story.
TV right there. Honestly, I watched the game on Friday. Oh, yeah, I was like, oh, yep, Seki, we're down 12-4 halftime. And then, you know, we went to go get a feed, and Gaele come back, turn the TV on, and I was like 49, like 45 scores. Like, I was like, you know, like, how did we go from? And I was like, embarrassing. Yeah, I was like, hey, no, we are quality team.
I mean, I can't laugh. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing. I mean, I probably should be more upset. Or I am upset, but I think I'm a little bit over it. I think after the Tigers, West Tigers, and this score, I was just like, yeah, someone did worse than the Broncos. Yeah. And then I saw the I mean, I'm not really a fan of the Titans, but man, they got smashed too. So I was just like, bro, it's not looking good, eh? Sorry, I'll stop with the Warriors now. I know you're a Canterbury because you're a Crusaders fan. I get that. But if I was a fly on the wall, because you are an English... See, here's the thing. We haven't even talked about the subjects you teach, okay? For anyone who's listening, I mean, Pasifika teachers, man, they don't even sleep. Just putting it out there, 24/7 on the job. Okay, you teach Samoan language, Te Reo Māori, and you're an English teacher. If I was a fly on the wall in one of those classes, what would I be hearing or seeing in the classroom?
Oh, man.
Besides you mocking the students, I suppose.
Yeah. Man, I always tell kids I'm a part-time teacher, full-time, like, full-time comedian. What you would hear, man, like, I think what you would hear is a lot of, I can't think of examples, but what you would hear is a lot of like kind of like real life experiences when I explain stuff. Like when I explain things like what I think I remember I was teaching one of my classes about I forgot what it was about, but I was like I'm trying to understand what like they were trying to understand what a sheep was, but I forgot what the word was. I can see now I'm a fellow English teacher, but I was teaching something around English, and I was teaching the lottery by Shirley Jackson.
Oh yes. Yes. Short story.
Yeah. That story and about So then they were talking about like how like they always follow the ritual.
Right.
Of like having the lottery and how like it's like hard, it's frowned upon to go against the grain,
right?
Type thing. So then like they were trying to understand there's like, oh, why can't they just break, like why can't they just stop it? Like clearly you're killing people, like blah blah. But it's like but then I was like, oh yeah, sweet. So hands up if you have a pair of Air Jordans. And then they're like, oh yeah. And then I was like, okay, so if all of you had Air Jordans and then that kid over there had Schlesinger shoes, what would you say about that kid? And then they're like, oh, like we would mock them. So yeah, so why do you think he would like buy Air Jordans? Like he wants to fit in, like, and if you don't fit in, then you're gonna look like that one person who like they're gonna pick on. So they're like, oh, so like I like to again using my age to my advantage and like what's going on around me. Like I like to provide modern like examples, like things like that, and then like, oh yeah, and then the other one was like, and this thanks to my degree major in media communication. I was talking about like before they introduced like black or brown princesses, like Disney
Right.
princesses, like why were all like but why Disney princesses, why were they all like thin waist and
Right.
like big, like, and then they're like, oh, I didn't notice that, like, and then I was playing like
Yeah.
because girls look at that, why do you think they're trying to like do that in
Right.
their own life? Like, yeah,
Beauty
so then like
standards and
yeah, beauty, yeah. So like, and then just they're like, oh, and I think that's what I really enjoy about English is like, I think a lot of kids like, and it's dependent on who their teacher are. Like they just don't like English because of the teacher, but once they actually understand like
yeah.
what English can do for you, they're like, oh, like I do that every day. And I was like, yeah, like what you see on TV is like what things like that. So yeah, that's what you hear from me. You'll hear me like, or like I would say things like no cap, like meaning like, oh, I'm telling the truth. Like the
Yes.
kids are like, what the hell? Like, how do you know that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
down, like
You're like, I Googled it before I came to class. Gosh.
yeah, like it's my word for the day. Like, no, so like this what you hear, like I speak like how I'm speaking to you, like I speak like that to the kids. Like if they try to roast me, I'll roast them back. In my Sāmoan class, I provide real life examples, or like I provide like, I think a lot of kids these days, like they don't know what tone is, like the tone of voice. Like I think us Pasifika, when we talk of a lot of expression, a lot of tone.
Right.
Whereas kids these days, they're just like real monotone. Like they
Right.
don't know when you're being serious. So
Oi.
like in my English, in my Samoan class or whatever class, like when I say something in Samoan, I'm like, I just picture my mom, like, or picture my auntie saying it to me, and I'm like, White Sunday, like I draw that in, and like when I say it to them, they're like, oh, so like I draw from all my experiences that the kids were probably like a masangi to, and like, I just apply it. That's what I would do. That's what I do. Yeah.
That's really cool, bro. And I love how you've explained that. I think, definitely authentic, examples, personal experiences, even experiences from the students, sharing their own stories. But yeah, that's how you build that rapport is, being real genuine,
Yeah.
in terms of relatable examples. I like how we were talking about the lottery, but then the example that you use, which I realized when I came home with the recent like holidays, I was like, oh, this is different. Okay, what's up? Like,
Yeah.
so just in terms of like, yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get to like see one of your classes and check it out for real. So that's totally cool. You were bestowed the title. You mentioned right at the beginning, the title Afamasaga. And then at school, do they call you Afamasaga? Do you use your title at school? Like, how does that work?
So I got bestowed off my song 2019, I think. 2019. I was still going by Uli at school, but it wasn't until this year. Again, my school mum, Marilla Malia, who's now assistant principal in another school at Girls High, she just told me like, oh, you need to change, because I was emailing her and said, oh, you need to change your signature. And now like you need to put in your chief name, and then like I kind of like I've always been like someone who like no, I mean like I like to think I'm humble, like I like to think I'm humble, but at the same time like there's times where you just need to be like, nah, like you need to honor
Right.
like your name or honor your successes in some type of shape or form. So like I ended up just telling the school was like, oh, from now on, my name is Afamasaga Uli. So yeah, so now like all my colleagues in there, they refer to me as Afamasaga. So like, and then like they're totally supportive of it as well. So yeah, so ever since like I think I just started this term, or maybe like last couple of weeks of the term too, but I've just been going by Afamasaga. at
And
school.
then,
So,
I mean, it's great. I think your mentor, absolutely right. And I love that you now that's incorporated into the role and your service to your school, I guess, in another way.
yeah.
How has that changed your life in terms of tautua to your church and I guess family, extended family, if at
My
all, if at all? Like
in
having
terms of
having the now that you've got the swafa afamasaga, like how has it really changed like how you
uh,
move in those spaces or not really?
um it hasn't really changed how I move in those spaces. I get that, I know that, the boys or my cousin there, they'll off, like, they'll refer to me as Afamasaga, as like a, like they forget you got a makai now. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. But no, it hasn't really changed. I think if anything, it's just kind of like reminded me of, like, of continuing to serve, finding different ways of serving and things like that. And yeah, it's just I nothing's changed really. Like, I still do what I do, and
Mm.
then just applying myself into different community groups as well. So yeah, so no, nothing's changed since um you know on being honored by our name by Afmasanga. But now, yeah, just continue to do the work and
Mm.
finding, yeah.
You know, we're starting to kind of like get to the end of the podcast, and I know earlier I like to ask everyone that comes on about self care, and I know earlier you had mentioned sometimes it's just on the weekends, it's just relaxing and
Yeah.
whatnot. What's one thing that you when we think about self care, like have you been able to treat yourself? This year, if you think in terms of self-care, like maybe going on a trip or maybe splashing out on something or like like can you think of an instance where you've done that?
Actually, I kind of I went to Auckland. I went to
Okay.
Auckland for some of my mates,
Okay.
but that was like a couple. I think, yeah, that was during the last term. So yeah, no, that was the last one I did.
That's good.
And
That's
then
good.
it was good. Like, went to Auckland, caught out with some of my family,
Yeah.
and then some of my mates just for the weekend. Like, I don't know. I'm like just I don't know. I can't do a weekend. Like, I'm like
Yeah.
a short kind of guy.
You're
I was
those
doing like
like
2 days, yeah, in and out, kind of
weekend
just,
getaways.
yeah, weekend getaways.
The one night
So,
staycation.
yeah, well, actual. I was like, just like, just crash on the couch, wake up, jump on the plane, and I'm back.
And you're yeah,
But
I'm glad you're okay. Yeah,
yeah, this like
anything else?
um but like coming up, catching up with some of my other mates that I met through Sultanga, me and my brother.
Mm,
So we got a couple of weddings coming up, but then just a trip to Hemna Springs and Canterbury show weekend, Canterbury in the anniversary. Sorry. So yeah,
awesome. So you
for
got a
now,
few
like,
things to look forward to. That's great.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But we actually, one of the things that we're doing with our Māori and Pasifika boys, it's got nothing to do, but we're taking them down to Dunedin at the end of the term.
Mm,
We're doing a Dunedin trip just because, again, like, our polyfest
nice.
was cancelled, and it's just like, man, like, we still gotta normalize doing things for our boys in these
Mm,
times. So even that, like, just traveling down, like traveling down with our colleagues and with the boys, that's gonna be fun and exciting. Just taking the boys down and enjoying what Dunedin has to offer.
I love Donna's, man. When
Yeah.
I haven't been down there, so I went last year, but didn't get an opportunity to go this time when I came home. But any opportunity, I always try and go down there. I just love that you can walk most
Staffy life.
places. It's so quiet. Like, I mean, obviously the nightlife's a whole nother thing, but I just love it's just, there's whenever like it's so funny because I'll go to Dunedin and then when I go back to Auckland, it's like road rage, it's like noise. I can't deal. I always say if I ever move back to New Zealand, I would move to the South Island
Oh,
or
yes.
move to the country somewhere where Auckland is just
It is.
it's so loud. People are so loud. and aggressive road rage. I just can't. Everything is so expensive. Okay, let me stop.
Yeah. Oh, nah. Like Auckland, like when I look at Auckland, it's a place just to go kafao and then I'm going back. I'm never living here. Like I'll
It's
never live here.
crazy. Every time I go back, it just like normally I was just like when I found myself wanting to tweet and complain about Auckland, I didn't. I just left it in my draft tweet, my Twitter drafts. I was just like, don't be that guy who lives overseas and then comes and just moans about Auckland. For real, bro. It's oh my god.
Got to be a millionaire to live in. Auckland.
It's crazy. Okay, book recommendations. Do you have a book recommendation for us?
I actually have this book. It's called The Damage Done.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of The Damage Done. It's about like the reason why. Well, one, I teach this book.
Okay.
To my student or my senior students. It's about a guy named Warren Fellows who tries to smuggle drugs from Thailand to Australia, but then clearly gets busted, and then he just talks about his experiences in Thailand prisons. But the reason why I chose this book is because I don't know, us boys, we just just strange things, if they make sense. We love rugby and stuff like that, but we just like listening to something that's completely there's out of the blue. We just I think the boys here really enjoy it because one is just be just encouraging reading is another thing, but once they listen to this story is actually it's quite violent, but they love it because it's boys and violence, I don't know. But they just really they really get into it. And I always look at the ones that would fall asleep during reading, but they're sitting up reading it as well.
They're so engaged.
Yeah, they're so engaged, but they it covers corruption, it covers human rights, it covers we're able to compare what a standard New Zealand prison is compared to a Thailand prison. And they're just they're some of these boys, they walk out man, I'm grateful I live in New Zealand.
Real, man.
Actual oh man, I get to eat clean meals in jail, and then Thailand is just they got alien and their own waste and stuff like that. Just corrupt. So that's a book that our boys love and not love, but they really enjoy just listening to, and then also just understanding man, it just puts a lot of things into perspective for these boys, or just for anyone, but just for them to be man, so it's pretty cool. This book.
Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna look it up. I haven't actually heard of that book, but now I'm intrigued. Have you heard of Jason Reynolds, the author Jason Reynolds?
I was gonna say not the actor.
Okay, so Jason Reynolds, I recommend check him out and see if any of his books pique your interest. One of my favorite authors. He's awesome. He's a poet as well. So just check him out.
Wow, poet?
He's a poet and author as well. Writes books for youth, for young, for children, teenagers, middle, high school. And he wrote this really good one called All American Boys, which is he co-wrote it with another author. But look him up. He's got a website and everything, and there might be something there that might pique your interest that you could use in your class. Thank you so much for your reading recommendation. I've got two more things before we wrap this up. And I know I've had you online for so long now.
Don't worry. No, we got teachers only day tomorrow, so we start.
Okay, 2 hours it is. I'm just kidding. But now I know that I'm cutting into your I don't know, Twitter time, Netflix time, Disney Plus, all of that.
Shout out to Mentai too.
Pasifika Educator, as an educator in general, future aspirations. I mean, you're a teacher, you're an educator, but what is your dream role in the school? And I know you're a mentor, you do all of that. Okay, you're a superstar, absolutely awesome, bro, so inspirational. But when you think about your own professional development and growth, and where you see yourself in like maybe 5 years or a few years. Dream job as a teacher.
Oh, principal for sure. Um, Principal for sure. Like, I think just being at the table, and being part of those conversations rather than being, outside the room. And so principal for sure. Like, I think obviously before becoming a principal, I got heaps of work to do, but like, little things like becoming a dean, and things like that, or like sister, whatever that I need to do to get to that goal. But yeah, the aspiration of being a principal or just being around there, I just want to be on their table, to be
Like
honest.
leadership team, senior
Yeah,
leadership,
I
management, senior
want to be on their
management.
table. Yeah. Like, like again, like us Pasifika, and like we're like unofficial deans, like
Oi,
we're
hard out.
unofficial deans. So like, but I want to be like on their table and stuff like that, because I've seen what it looks like. I've had a glimpse of what it looks like having a brown person on the table. Like, like it's so easy for us to get a yes, and we don't have to worry on why, or being questioned on why we do things. So like, we know how our people work and stuff like that. So just being on their table for sure. Yeah.
For anyone who's listening,
Harder.
right here, we have a dream. Let's make it happen. Get some
Anywhere
kind of principalship mentor. Right here, go to Shirley Boys High School.
overseas,
Take somewhere. But if I ever see something that I think you and Sammy like could, I'll be like, I'm gonna hit you guys up for real,
I
man.
need to link up with them.
You guys are awesome. Okay, we've come to the end of the podcast, and before, man, I feel like always, no matter who it is, but as teachers, as Pasifika educators, I feel like we could just go on and share stories and have a laugh. I'm so grateful to you, Uli. Thank you so much, bro. Afamasaga, thank you so much for coming on the show. It is Teachers Only. You mentioned that it's Teachers Only Day tomorrow, and I'm sure there's a gazillion things you could be doing, but here you are, just sharing, a piece of you, or what makes you this like amazing educator, let alone a fellow Pasifika educator, man. It's so inspirational what you've shared tonight. Like, just so much knowledge, even
Thank
for
you.
someone, knowledge and wisdom for someone who has only been in teaching for 4 years. I mean, it's amazing, what you're doing. So, please, like, from Alosi, stay strong, keep working hard, keep striving to, achieve those goals, keep aspiring to be better, uh, continue to inspire the people, the young people at your school, and not just the students, but also your fellow colleagues. Just keep doing, just keep smashing those goals, and just keep being awesome. But most importantly, as I mentioned before, please look after yourself. There is only one of you. You're important to your family, to your church family, to your friends. So you always got to make time for you. Look after yourself. But I enjoy seeing what you post in terms of, what you're doing at your school. I was so happy when I finally saw you start your teacher Instagram. I was like, okay, bro, I see you. That's what's up. That's cool. Because it's not just for you sharing your stories, but other like teachers. There'll always be like teachers and people looking for other educators, right? So just actually
Yeah.
putting what you do on there and having that teacher account is super helpful. So yes, I'm so grateful you came on the show, and of course I always gotta like spotlight fellow Afamasaga fam who are just out there just changing lives, continuing to impact and inspire their communities and our young people. I know I'm repeating myself, so I'm gonna stop. But this is your opportunity, just to wrap up the show. Final words of encouragement. You mentioned earlier, this is how you when you speak to young people, you really try and inspire them to, hey, think about teaching. So final words of encouragement to other teachers who perhaps, during these rough times are just really struggling? What encouragement do you have for your fellow colleagues or just other teachers?
Oh well. First off, just thank you, Rosa, for this. Also for this platform, man. Like, it's crazy, like how so many things you can do, just from like just putting your heart into things. So like again, thank you for this platform to share my story and to connect with you again. I know we always connect on Twitter, like and it's always a good time, but like just get to like actual like just talk and like just again be authentic. Like I know it's a podcast, but like we're just chilling, we're just
For
talking
real.
normally. So again, thank you, sis, for this opportunity to speak. But one thing that again, this is what I hear countless times in our church, and if I saw when um, our pastor or Rev Tuma really, he would always tell us during when we have when he does his talks with the kids, and he always said Ale poto whangale loto, which basically means
Ooh,
if you're not smart, use your heart, and I think that like caters to anyone, like like if you follow your heart, like you can achieve anything. And it's funny that I never forget that I mean, I always remember his talks, but I never forget that one specifically is because he what they're saying, what he if you're not smart, use your heart. It's actually my cousin that said that who went he taught Afghanistan and stuff like that. So
mm,
like he's in the army and that's what he said. So like for me just to like hear that's family, someone who's family, and then hear it from our minister who's like basically like a father figure in my life, like I'm grateful. So, and I know, when we follow our hearts, man, like nothing can stop us, so again, like that's my, I guess, words of encouragement to not just our colleagues but to everyone. Follow your
mm.
heart. Now you can't go wrong, like follow your heart, like yeah, just whatever your heart wants, man, go grab it with two hands. You got nothing. We got nothing to lose in this world, So yeah, that's I guess my words of encouragement. But yeah, again, thank you, sis, for this opportunity.